You've got to stop waiting for someone to see you, to applaud you, to believe in you before you believe in yourself. That moment, that validation, it's not coming. And maybe that sounds harsh, but it's the truth you need to hear. Because the longer you sit there, hoping the world will finally recognize your potential, the more time you're wasting. And time doesn't wait. It just keeps moving quietly while you're still hesitating. Too often we hand over our power to others without even realizing it. We delay our dreams until someone approves. We hide our light because we think it's not bright enough yet. But the truth is, no one will ever fully understand the fire that burns inside of you. They weren't given your vision. They don't know your struggle. They don't feel your hunger. So how can you expect them to give you permission to start? This is where most people get stuck. They wait for the perfect moment, wait for someone to say, you're ready, wait for support that never comes. But those who truly grow, those who transform, they stop waiting, they step forward alone, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's terrifying, especially when it's terrifying. You must learn to walk alone, to rise without applause, to push forward when nobody is watching. That's where real strength is born. In those quiet moments when you choose to keep going, even when everything around you tells you to stop. When you begin to move not because someone told you to, but because your spirit refuses to stay still. That's the shift. That's when life begins to change. You don't need an audience, you need action. You don't need approval. You need alignment with your own values, your purpose, your path. Because once you realize that everything you seek is already within you, you become unstoppable. You stop trying to prove yourself to others and start proving to yourself that you were always enough. Look around you. The most resilient people in the world didn't wait for someone to believe in them. They believed in themselves first. They acted while others doubted. They built while others rested. And now they stand as examples not because they had more support, but because they had more courage to move without it. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, I'll try again tomorrow. Sometimes it looks like taking one small step when the world around you feels overwhelming. But those small steps, repeated daily, become the path. You won't even realize how far you've come until you look back one day and see that every moment you chose yourself was a brick laid in the foundation of the life you've built. And yes, it gets lonely. Yes, it gets heavy. But that's the price of growth. That's the weight of transformation. You're not here to live a small life waiting for someone else's permission. You're here to rise, to lead yourself through the storm, to become the kind of person who inspires, not because they were told they could, but because they decided they would. Every time you choose action over doubt, you prove to the world, and more importantly to yourself, that you are ready, that you are capable, that you are willing to show up even when it's hard. That kind of person, that kind of soul, they don't need validation. Their life is their voice. Their presence is their proof. You don't need someone to tell you that you matter. You don't need someone to clap for your efforts. Clap for yourself, stand up for yourself, show up for yourself, because nobody cares until you give them a reason to. And the only way to do that is to move, to rise, to act, no matter who's watching, no matter who's listening. In the end, it's not about being seen. It's about seeing yourself clearly enough to act boldly, even in silence. Because when you stop waiting for the world to choose you, you finally start choosing yourself. And that's when everything begins. We all carry pain. Some wear it quietly in their eyes. Others scream it out through anger, through isolation, through silence. But the truth is, no one escapes it. Life is full of trials. There are moments that break you, situations that leave scars deeper than anyone can see. And you may ask yourself, why? Why this? Why me? But the better question, the one that leads you forward, is, what now? Pain, when ignored, consumes you. It eats away at your spirit. It locks you in a prison of fear, regret, and blame. But when you learn to sit with it, to understand it, to face it, it becomes something else. It becomes a teacher, a powerful one, because pain doesn't come into your life to destroy you. It comes to awaken you. It forces you to see what truly matters. It pushes you to grow in ways that comfort never could. Think about it. Who have you become after every heartbreak, every betrayal, every failure? Were you the same person? Or did something inside you sharpen, toughen, deepen? That's what pain does. It transforms. And no, it's not easy. It's not meant to be, but it is necessary. Because without it, you would never know your strength. You would never uncover the parts of yourself that only rise in fire. You have a choice. You can carry your pain like a burden, or you can wield it like a weapon. You can let it pull you under, or you can use it to rise higher than you've ever gone. Pain is pressure, and pressure creates diamonds, but only if you refuse to break. I've seen people shattered by life, people who've lost everything, but somewhere in that darkness, they made a decision. They said, this will not define me. This will not end me. And from that moment on, their pain became their drive. Every steps they took, every effort they made was powered by the memory of what they'd survived. You see, when you know what it feels like to be broken, you gain something powerful: compassion, resilience, a deeper fire. You stop taking things for granted. You stop wasting time on excuses, because now you know how precious life is, how quickly it can change. And you decide consciously to never waste another moment living small. Pain teaches discipline. It teaches presence. It forces you to look inward and ask, what am I really made of? Not when things are easy, but when everything is falling apart. That's when the truth of who you are is revealed. And that truth, that's your power. You earn it. You forge it. In the tears no one sees. In the nights you wanted to give up but didn't. In the battles you fought alone. And maybe you're carrying something right now, something heavy. Maybe no one knows what you're going through. But I promise you, if you choose to face it rather than run from it, it will change you in the best way. It will shape your spirit into something unshakable. It will give you a fire that comfort never could. You are not weak because you've been hurt. You are powerful because you've been hurt. And you're still here. You're still standing. And that matters. That means something. Use it. Use everything they threw at you, every rejection, every failure, every loss. Let it be your reason, not your excuse. Your pain can either be your prison or your power. That decision is yours. You can turn every wound into wisdom, every scar into strength. You don't have to hide what you've been through. Let it be your story. Let it be the reason someone else finds the courage to keep going. But more than anything, let it be the reason you rise. Because at the end of the day, it's not about living a life without pain. That's not real. That's not possible. It's about taking the pain and turning it into something greater. It's about refusing to let it own you and choosing every day to own it instead. Don't curse your pain. Thank it. It shaped the warrior standing in front of me now, and the world needs that warrior more than ever. Motivation feels good, doesn't it? It lights you up, it gives you energy, a sense of hope, like you're finally ready to change everything. But then it fades. You wake up tired, life hits you, the same distractions return, and suddenly all that motivation you had is nowhere to be found. That's when most people quit, not because they can't do it, but because they were relying on a feeling that was never meant to last. That's why discipline matters more. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't wait for inspiration. It doesn't need a good mood or perfect conditions. Discipline shows up every single day, when it's raining, when you're tired, when you've been knocked down. It's the decision to keep moving, no matter what voice is in your head telling you to stop. Anyone can act when they're excited, when everything feels fresh, when the path ahead looks clear. But what about when it gets hard? What about when no one's cheering? That's when the real work begins. That's where growth lives. Not in comfort, but in consistency, in choosing to do what needs to be done, especially on the days you don't feel like it. Because those days, those are the ones that define you. We often talk about chasing success, chasing goals, chasing purpose. But if you're always chasing, then you're running after something that's always ahead of you. Discipline brings it to you. It doesn't chase, it creates. It builds brick by brick, habit by habit, until one day what felt impossible is now your foundation. It's easy to scroll through videos, to feel inspired, to say, yes, I'm ready. But can you hold that same energy tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.? Can you hold it when no one is watching? That's the difference. Discipline doesn't care who's watching. It moves in silence, it works in the dark, and that's what makes it so powerful. Because it doesn't depend on a moment, it builds over time. Your mind will resist, it will offer you comfort, it will whisper. You can skip today, just one day, but one day turns into two. Two turns into a week, and before you know it, you're back where you started, only now with more regret. That's why discipline is not about punishment, it's about freedom. Freedom from the lies your mind tells you, freedom from old patterns, freedom from the version of you that settles for less than you're capable of. Discipline gives you control. It's the inner command that says, this is who I am, and this is what I do, no matter what. And once that voice becomes louder than your excuses, everything begins to change. You stop negotiating with weakness. You stop justifying shortcuts. You stop delaying your future. But it's not glamorous, it's not loud, it's not about shouting to the world how hard you're working. It's quiet, steady, and relentless. You train, you read, you show up. And you keep showing up, not for a reward, not for applause, but because it's who you've decided to be. You might not see the results right away. That's okay. This isn't about instant gratification. It's about the long game. It's about becoming someone you can be proud of, someone who honors their word, someone who doesn't fold when it's uncomfortable, someone who is forged, not found. The truth is, you don't rise when you feel like it. You rise when you act despite how you feel. That's the edge most people never reach. They wait for motivation to return, not realizing that the strongest fire comes from commitment, not emotion. And once you understand that, you become dangerous. Because now you're not dependent on mood, you're powered by purpose. There will be days when you're tired, days when you question if it's even worth it. On those days, remember this: the version of you that keeps going will always outrun the one who waits for perfect conditions. Discipline builds champions, not once, not sometimes, but every single day. So don't wait for the feeling to come. Be the person who moves without it, who shows up because it's the right thing to do. That's the difference between average and excellence, between potential and mastery, between dreaming and doing. And once you choose discipline over motivation, you'll realize you were never waiting on anything. You were just waiting on you. We live in a world full of distractions, endless noise, constant comparison. Everyone is looking ahead, trying to predict, trying to plan, trying to figure out the next step before they've even taken the first one. And in that race, in that rush to be somewhere else, we forget the one place where life is actually happening. Here, now, this moment. Too many people are busy chasing the future while dragging the weight of their past. They're haunted by what happened yesterday and obsessed with what might happen tomorrow. But both are illusions. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow hasn't arrived, and all you truly own is now. This breath, this decision, this choice. If you want to grow, if you want to rise above your circumstances, you must learn to be fully present, to train your mind to stay here, to be where your feet are, because the present moment is where your power lives. It's where your discipline begins. It's where change is possible. Not later, not someday, but right now. And when you become present, truly present, you begin to see clearly. You begin to feel again, not just with your senses, but with your spirit. You begin to notice how often you've been reacting instead of responding. You realize how much time you've spent worrying, scrolling, waiting. You see how much of your potential you've handed away because you weren't fully here. But presence alone isn't enough. You need hunger. A deep, burning hunger inside you that says, I want more, but not from others, but from myself. You have to want to break the cycle. You have to want to rise, to reach, to become. And that hunger, it's not about desperation. It's not about wanting what someone else has. It's about pushing yourself beyond who you were yesterday. The world will offer you comfort, ease, distraction, and many will take it, but not you. Because hunger doesn't settle, it doesn't accept half effort, it doesn't rest on past success. Hunger asks, what more can I do today? How can I sharpen myself, even just a little? That's the kind of hunger that builds legacies, not for fame, but for the quiet confidence of knowing you gave everything you had. Presence gives you clarity. Hunger gives you fire. Together they make you unstoppable. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most alive. Were they in the past? Were they somewhere far in the future? No, they were right here. They were real. They were raw. Maybe they were painful. Maybe they were joyful, but they were true because you were fully there. And when you carry that awareness into your work, into your training, into your life, you become dangerous. Because now you're not chasing motivation, you're not begging for opportunity. You're ready, you're focused, you're acting with intention, you're giving your full energy to this second. And that's something most people never do. It's easy to say, I'll start tomorrow. It's easy to say, when things slow down, I'll focus. But that day doesn't come. You either choose now or you let life choose for you. You either take command of your attention or you surrender it to distractions that leave you empty. And make no mistake, hunger will test you. It will pull you out of comfort. It will demand more from you than you think you have. But that's the point, because that's where your edge lives. That's where growth is born. You don't expand by staying still. You grow when you lean into the discomfort of presence and say, I'm still here. I'm still hungry. It's not about being perfect. It's about being aware. It's about making one powerful decision at a time, one disciplined step, one clear breath, and stacking those moments with intention. And when the doubts come, and they will, you return to this moment. You ground yourself in now. You breathe. You remember that your past does not define you, and your future is being built by what you choose in this second. Be here. Be hungry, because this moment right now holds everything you've been waiting for. If you're willing to show up and claim it, the most important conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. And yet most people never realize how loud their inner voice truly is. It's the voice that speaks before the world does, before the critic, before the praise, before the results. It's the voice that tells you who you are, whether you'll try, whether you'll fail, whether you'll keep going. And if you don't take control of that voice, it will control you. We've all heard it. That whisper in the back of your mind that says, you're not good enough. You're too late. What if you fail again? And too often, we listen. We accept it as truth without questioning where it came from or whether it deserves to stay. But that voice, it was built from old wounds, from past experiences, from opinions that were never ours to begin with. And if it was built, it can be rebuilt. You must train your mind as you would train your body, with consistency, with patience, with effort, because the mind left on its own will drift toward fear. It will magnify what's missing. It will replay past pain. But when you begin to master your mindset, everything changes. You stop living on reaction. You start living with awareness. You start choosing your thoughts instead of being ruled by them. Imagine waking up and hearing a voice that says, today we go again. You are capable. You have more in you. That voice isn't magic. It's built, it's practiced, and it's earned by showing up for yourself again and again, especially when it's hard, especially when your old patterns try to pull you back. Because mastery doesn't mean the old voice disappears. It means you're louder than it now. That's the real power, not silencing your fear, but standing stronger than it. Not pretending doubt doesn't exist, but choosing not to obey it. You begin to speak differently to yourself, not out of ego, but out of discipline. You say, I don't break here. I've been through worse. I can handle this. And over time, those words become your truth. They become your foundation. But this doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you decide to become the guardian of your own mind. When you stop letting external noise shape your internal world. When you learn to pause, to breathe, and to question, is this thought helping me or holding me back? Your mindset is your lens. It's how you see the world. If it's clouded by negativity, by doubt, by fear, you'll miss opportunity even when it's right in front of you. But if it's sharp, if it's grounded in purpose, if it's aligned with who you want to become, then even challenges become part of the path forward. Every setback becomes fuel. Every mistake becomes a lesson. You stop seeing life as something happening to you and start seeing it as something happening for you. And when you get to that place, you realize that true strength was never about what you could lift or how fast you could move. It was about how deeply you could believe in yourself when nothing around you was certain. That's what separates those who try from those who transform. They do the work up here, long before the results show up out there. It's not easy. You'll have days when the voice gets loud again, days when doubt creeps in, when fear returns. But that's when you train harder. That's when you remind yourself who you are. You lean into the silence, you breathe, and you speak truth over noise. Because the mind doesn't just obey strength, it becomes it. It adapts, it evolves. But only when you lead it, only when you become the one who speaks louder than the excuses, louder than the fear, louder than the limits. Speak to yourself like someone worth fighting for, because you are. Speak like a leader, like a warrior, like someone who refuses to fold, because if the voice within you becomes unshakable, then nothing outside you will ever break you. In a world that constantly demands noise, the real power is found in silence. Not the silence of inaction, but the silence of discipline, of focus, of someone who is building something real while the rest are performing for attention. You don't need to broadcast your goals. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. The ones who truly win in life aren't shouting from the rooftops. They're too busy working in the dark. There's something sacred about the process that no one sees. The early mornings, the late nights, the quiet sacrifices, the moments of doubt you battle behind closed doors. And yet you keep showing up, not because you're being watched, not because you're being praised, but because something inside you refuses to quit. That fire, that quiet, relentless fire is what makes the difference. Let others talk. Let them post. Let them chase likes and validation. You're building brick by brick, step by step, and the beauty of that kind of journey is this. When you let your results speak, you no longer have to. You walk into a room and your presence says everything. You show up and people feel the weight of your work without a single word. There's a humility that comes from silent effort. You're not trying to impress. You're not seeking permission. You're not hoping someone notices. You've made a promise to yourself. And that's enough. You're not attached to recognition, you're attached to the mission. And that's rare, that's powerful, because the moment you detach from external noise, you become unshakable. Every time you choose the work over the praise, you build strength. Every time you keep moving forward without making an announcement, you sharpen your edge. It's tempting to talk, to tell the world what you're going to do. But words are light, action is weight, and when you carry that weight every day without applause, you become the kind of person who can handle anything. You see, real growth isn't loud, it's slow, it's unglamorous, it's a grind. But over time it becomes undeniable. People will notice, not because because you told them to, but because they'll see the change in you, in the way you move, in the way you lead, in the way you refuse to be shaken by setbacks or slowed by distractions. That kind of power is earned. It's earned in silence. In the quiet hours, when it's just you and your standard, when no one is watching and you still choose excellence, when no one is clapping and you still keep going, that's where the transformation happens. Not on stage, not online, but deep within, where your character is carved and your future is forged. You don't owe the world a performance. You owe yourself the truth. And the truth is, you don't have to tell them you're rising. Let them feel it. Let them witness it. Let them wonder how you did it. While they were busy talking, you were busy working. There's peace in not needing to explain. Peace in being so focused that the noise around you fades into the background. You stop needing validation because your results become the only confirmation you require. You become dangerous, not because you're loud, but because you're consistent. Not because you boast, but because you deliver. Let your silence confuse them. Let your results hum them. Let your work be your voice, because in the end, the ones who rise the highest are often the ones who never needed to shout. They were too busy climbing, too busy growing, too busy becoming. So when you feel the urge to prove yourself, pause, go back to your craft, refocus your energy, stay hungry, stay grounded. And remember, success is not built by noise, it's built in silence, in stillness, in discipline repeated when no one is watching. Let others chase attention. Let others chase approval. You chase mastery, because when you've built something real, you'll never unshakable. You'll never need to raise your voice. Your life will speak for you, and that voice will echo louder than any words ever could. Now you understand. Nobody is coming. Nobody is going to do the work for you. Nobody is going to hand you that life you dream of. But that's not a reason to fear. It's a reason to rise. Because once you stop waiting for someone else to save you, you take full ownership of your journey. You start moving, not for applause, not for approval, but for yourself, for the life you know you're meant to live. Your pain, it's not your enemy. It's your greatest teacher. Your discipline, that's your power when motivation fades. Your presence, that's your anchor. Your mindset, that's your battlefield. And your silence, that's where real growth begins. When you align all of these, when you stop chasing and start becoming, nothing can stop you. So don't just listen to these words, live them every step, every day, because the moment you decide to win for you is the moment everything starts to change.